And I'm going to hold my sister's hands when I say this. A lot of the time, the homophobia stems from the mouth of the Black woman. A lot of Black women, they only like gays when they're the choreographer, the best friend, the hairstylist. YouTube, what's up, baby? It's your favorite antisocial extrovert, your favorite awkward Black boy, Blake Mother Loving Dupree, back at it again at the Diary of Dupree YouTube channel. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. Hello if you new, welcome back if you family. I believe in reciprocating good energy, so whatever you got going on, let a brother know so I can support you. I believe in networking across and not just upwards, onwards and upwards, but we gonna start across. You know what I'm saying? My latest single, Wait, featuring my homeboy Niche, is out now on all streaming platforms. And since we're on the topic of my music, I would be remiss seeing that the last time I made this video, there was a supporter within my team who was still with us, who is no longer with us, and that is the icon Luke Austin himself, who slowly, tragically, I just want to say, I can't even speak right now thinking about it, passed away a couple Fridays ago. He was the producer of my house track, Even If, but he was so much more than just a producer. He was a family man, he was a friend, he was just a positive person to be around. I'm so privileged and blessed to have worked with such a talented, humble man in this industry whose resume was longer than my height. So it was just amazing to know you, Luke. I know you somewhere watching. I'm sending nothing but positive and healing energy to your close friends and family. And as an industry friend, thank you so much for your contributions to the music industry. Thank you so much for believing in me so early on in my musical career. And just thank you for being a positive person to be around in a world full of so much bullshit, in an industry full of so much negativity. Thank you, bro. Okay, so today we are here to talk about Tank's interview. Tank made some statements that ruffled some feathers, because anytime gay is brought up in the Black community, feathers will be ruffled. But Tank, thank God, didn't take the boozy approach. He was just expressing his concerns as to why being gay in the Black community is such a bad thing. And let's get into that. Being that I am Black and gay in the community and in the music industry. So this is a home run for me to talk about. I have the article from Gay 40 Times, which is what I'll be reading from, and we're just going to dissect it piece by piece, period. R&B singer Tank is candid about homophobia within the Black community. Tank spoke out in his latest interview, I should say. Throughout his career, the now or never artist has used his platform to be an ally at the LGBTQ community, performing at pride events and speaking out against conservative talking points directed towards queer people. On December 4th, Tank continued to showcase his allyship when he appeared on the Holding Court podcast to discuss homophobia in the Black community, specifically as it relates to Black men. See, I said this was all going to intertwine with me personally here at the Diary of Dupree. There's something about Black men in the homosexual conversation that is a mess. The phobia as it relates to Black men and the elephant in the room, and no one will actually articulate their devastation. He explained to host Big Court and Rachel Renee. You have to think, for a Black man, the worst thing to be called is gay. The first thing somebody's going to allude to, whether you are gay or not, when they are trying to assassinate your character, they're going gay first. It stems from something within our culture that has created the stigma that is, somehow there is a program to make Black men gay. You see it everywhere. There's an attack on strong Black men. But who's the attack coming from? Elsewhere in the interview, Tank shut down the gay agenda conversation after Big Court brought up the evolution of LGBTQAI plus visibility within the media and pop culture. Back in our generation, we're the exact same age. We didn't see homosexuality, and it's been around since the beginning of time. But it was your auntie's friend, your uncle's friend. But now it's more in your face. It's more acceptable. It's more mainstream, Big Court said. In response, Tank argued that the world has gotten smaller since they were kids, and that access to other people in their respective lives has become easier. Now, Tank is 48 years old, y'all. He is a couple years older than my parents. I think 2 years older than my mama, and maybe 4 years older than my dad, maybe 3. I don't fucking know. Them motherfuckers is old, period. Just like me. But growing up myself, being raised by parents who were close to Tank's age, I would say this is probably an approach that he did not always have, probably within the last 15 years had developed. But the common way to raise your child back when they were children is that gay was not something that you had to be. Gay was not okay. Gay was not an option. I'm saying that because that's how I was raised, specifically by my father. And I don't want to take this time to drag my dad because he's done such amazing work, having a son who is openly black and gay, and he's come a long way. But before I was even open about who I was sexually wise to the world, and especially to my family, I was told that I could be anything in this world verbatim but gay. He would support me with any endeavor that I had, except if I was gay. I was 7 years old at the time. I know exactly what car he was driving. I know exactly what the weather was like. I know exactly where we were parked, and I know exactly where we were going. And I don't remember what made him say that, but I'm assuming that he probably caught on to the traits that I liked dolls instead of Hot Wheels, and I liked girl media, if you want to call it that, as a child. And I think he was trying to beat that out of me, not physically, but definitely mentally and spiritually at an early age, because that's how he was raised. To be gay was the worst thing you can be called. And I honestly feel like that is a trend that is never going away, especially within our community, because even in the industry myself, making songs and writing records, I've been in writing rooms and I've been in sessions with local artists and producers and some managers who have asked me like, hey, this is a great song, but you might want to just change the gender of your music because nobody's going to listen to this song if they find out that you're a man singing about a man. I was told this a few years ago. I was even in a writing session with a close friend of mine who was like, well, I just make music to be non-binary because I know that me being a male singing about another male, it's not marketable yet. And my question is, okay, so when will it be marketable? We have our Lil Nas X's, we have our Troye Sivans, and we have our Frank Oceans, but they all had to wait within a certain time frame in their careers to express who they were sexually, to express who they were artistically to the fullest extent that they wanted to, I'm sure, initially within their career. But they probably all got the it's not marketable speech from some executive, from some manager, from some agent, from some other artist. I mean, I'm still getting it myself. I have chosen to take my artistry a different route. If you go listen to my music, I definitely say boy in a couple songs. I say he in a couple songs, but there are some songs that I have out where it is pretty non-binary, and that's just by coincidence. It's not something that I'm forced to be doing. I say, like, if you're mature enough to listen to a Beyonce song and she's singing from a woman loving a man perspective, why can't you be mature enough to listen to my music and relate to it as it comes from my perspective? Just shift the perspective. If you're a fan of the art, good art is good art. I strongly believe if the music is good, the music is good. People will throw the pronouns out the door, at least in private when they homeboy get out the car and they on their way home by themselves. But this is not necessarily a music take on it. I wanted to speak on it from a black gay man who happens to be in the entertainment industry. And I will applaud Tank for making such a bold choice. And even in 2024, this is a bold statement to say, because we have artists like Boozy and we have the rap industry filled with such misogynoir and undertones of homophobia, where 10, 20 years ago would have been overtones of homophobia. I mean, there were so many records back in the day that had bops for days. I forgot what Jay-Z song it was where he said the F word. I was like, oh, period. I guess. Go off. But it's like, to be gay was the worst thing you could be. It still is in a lot of people's eyes. I mean, look at the way y'all be treating Lil Baby's son. This baby don't even know 4 times 4 divided by 2 yet. And y'all so focused on his sexuality, and y'all forget the fact that he's gonna see this shit one day. Nothing that we have goes away when it comes to social media. Newsflash, watch a motherfucking conquite. Everything that we do is being recorded under some aspect. So he's gonna grow up knowing that the world hated him for just being a kid, for being flamboyant, for having feminine attributes when you're just a child to begin with. And I just don't understand the disdain for being gay, but especially when you're a black gay male and you're a child, you want to know what hate feels like? Just be born black and gay. Be born that. You'll get the chance to know what hate feels like. I'll never forget, there was a story that my grandmother told me that I had just swiped away from my memory, probably because it was traumatic. But she was like, do you remember that time you did a fashion show at your preschool? I went to a Christian preschool in Chicago Heights. And I guess when I was modeling, I was given AMTM. I don't know what else was I supposed to get, bitch, because I was serving, you know what I'm saying? Fuck is you talking about? I was giving the girls a mean, nasty, cunty walk. I mean, Naomi Campbell couldn't stand next to me at 5 years old. My mother and my grandmother went to the fashion show, and as I was walking, the crowd was like, that's a damn shame. And it's because my walk was cunty. It's because my walk was feminine. It was because I was tapped in at such an early age to my divine femininity and to my feminine attributes. The girls was not feeling that. The girls was hating that. I mean, I grew up getting bullied, for lack of a better term, because I was a flamboyant, later became openly gay man, but I was a kid first. You know, other kids don't get that, you know, they're kids first, but the adults who said shit to me when I was a child, it was just something that I'll never forget. I'll never forget how adults treated me for being tapped into my feminine energy. And what I now know, I was just in love with my queer self, in love with just what I naturally like to do. I like to model. I like to dance. I like to have a little switch in my head. You know, I had a little tootie on me. You know, I had Bratz, I had Barbies, I had Winks, I like Totally Spies. Man, I remember I can even watch certain TV shows around my dad because he would get so upset the fact that I even liked certain shows, or even like the fact that when I played video games, I was mainly playing with women characters. Like, he just caught on to so many flags that, you know, would later lead to me being a member of the community, but could have easily not. It could have just easily been me. You know, I attribute a lot of personality traits to being queer, and as time is going on, turns out more niggas queer than I. And now y'all bitches mad that y'all can't differ a black man who is straight from a black man who is gay, because sexuality rarely has anything to do with personality. It's just I was tapped in with my divine femininity, and I happen to be a member of the community. But I say all this to say, like, if you want to know what hate is, be born black and femme and be a boy. You're gonna get a lot of hate. Look at the way they treat Lil Baby's son. I mean, I kind of wish Jada would just stop recording her son, because she has said it out of her mouth. They're not gonna understand you like I understand you. And I get it, you know, don't live to serve the people who hate the people you love, but protect your baby at the same day. I don't have a kid, so I truly will never know. But if I had a kid who was like in the position of Lil Baby's son, I probably would stop recording my kid and posting it. I really don't agree with parents posting their kids these days, like all the time, because I just feel like it exports your child, and your child really doesn't consent to this. You know, they ain't adults yet. And there are some tapes of me and pictures of me I hope the world never sees, but that's just my opinion on parenting. But I applaud Tank for taking a stance and standing up for the LGBTQ community when so many men in his position, who are men of prominence within the R&B and rap game, have not. You know, Tank has a large black female fan base. And I'm going to hold my sister's hands when I say this. A lot of the time, the homophobia stems from the mouth of the black woman. A lot of black women, they only like gays when they're the choreographer, the best friend, the hairstylist. Not when they're the doctor, not when they're the political figure, not when they're the head of the household, or just trying to even have their own household. There, a lot of times we hear, you know, keep that shit private, keep it to yourself, or I like gay boys who don't act like they gay, or I like gay boys who don't do too much. I like gay boys who don't try to be women, or I don't know why they be having makeup and beards on. I hear that mostly from my sisters, and I love my sisters down, but I'm gonna hold my sisters accountable. So to have such a large black female fan base and a large population of those women are the cause of day-to-day homophobia, starting from the household and putting that homophobia onto your sons, is risky. You could lose a large ranking of your support, period. And so I applaud Tank for taking that risk and having a real conversation and saying, you know, when we grew up, there was no representation for homosexuality. There was no representation for gay people. And we now know that being gay is okay. And I would have to agree. I feel like the agenda that people try to put on the community is really the pot calling the kettle black. Because growing up, I saw no representation of men on men, women on men I saw always men on women, women on men. Every Disney princess had a Disney prince. There was always some sort of kissing scene. There was always some sort of romantic, you know, intertwined with the children's media growing up. Every Disney Channel original movie had a romantic interest, and it was always a boy and a girl. And for me, it would have been refreshing to see none of the such. None of the such. I don't want to see romantic anything because it made me uncomfortable. It made me think that something was wrong with me because everywhere that I look in media, I don't see myself. I don't see little boys having crushes on other little boys, or little girls having crushes on other little girls, or teenagers having crushes on others, or young adults having crushes on people of the same sex. I didn't see that until maybe Empire came out. And even when Empire came out, it was kind of like, okay, cool. Half of the love interest on the gay storylines, it's not black on black. And when it was black on black, of course, the black man turned out to be the other black man's enemy. So that was kind of hard for me to digest, growing into my queerness, growing into my gayness at a teenage age. And it wasn't until I saw Pose where I saw black queer love represented. Of course, they're dealing with so many traumatic topics like, you know, the HIV and AIDS epidemic and capitalism and, you know, having to deal with the stigmas that came with being gay in the 80s and 90s. But there was black queer love that was not toxic, that was pure, that was romanticized appropriately. But growing up, I always saw a prince and a princess, or a male on female relationship. And I just wish that we would take the time to focus on, if we're not going to show our romantic relationships, we don't need to show any of them. And really, I'm for not showing any type of romanticism within children's media because it is children's media. They should be focused on playing with toys and going on adventures, and Daffy Duck going on adventures with the DuckTales and shit. Like, we don't need to put a romantic storyline in every sense of children's movie and media. I mean, there was not a Disney Channel movie or a Disney movie during the golden age that did not have a love interest storyline. From Pocahontas to Notre Dame to the Beauty and the Beast to fucking everything had a romantic storyline. I'm like, I didn't need that pushed down my throat as a kid because it made me feel like, okay, well, I like boys. Nowhere in the world do I know anybody else who likes boys because everything that's being displayed is a female or male relationship. There's something wrong with me because I don't like girls like that. Like, we cool and all, but I'm Simba, but bitch, I don't have no Nala, and I don't need a Nala. I'm cool with not having one. So if we gonna do it, go and represent everyone. If we're not, keep it on the playground. That's my opinion on it because I did not see any sort of gay representation as I was growing up, and I'm 24. And when I did, it was stereotypical, like the hairstylist from Baby Boy, or just, we were always the butt of a joke, the butt of comedy. And I just didn't appreciate that as a kid, and I don't appreciate it now as an adult. But I do appreciate Tank's stand on the topic. And Tank, I applaud you. I hope more people aspire to be like you and have the open conversation of why we are only seeing gay men, specifically gay men, in certain lights as acceptable. When it's the hairstylist, when it's the choreographer, when it's the best friend, and when it's the accessory. But anytime we see a gay black man who is open about himself out of any other subject, like in athletics and music and in politics and the healthcare field, we have an issue with that. Why is that? That's the deeper conversation that needs to be held. And why is it anytime somebody is gay in the black community, it's the worst thing you could be? But Uncle Leroy over there has been known for years to mess with kids, but he's invited to every prom send off that y'all have. I don't have the answer. I feel like homophobia has not always been something within the black diaspora because we have had black African kings and queens, and we had black people in civil rights like B.R. Rustin. We've had black people in every genre of music, whether they have been in or outed. That's a whole different video within itself. But being gay has been a thing since the beginning of time, like Tank said. Even in a lot of indigenous communities, it was often celebrated to be a black gay man, specifically because you could see both a feminine aspect and a male aspect and be the moderator or the mediator between the two genders of the tribes. So this shit came from somewhere. I'm thinking slavery, just like fat phobia came from slavery. That's a whole different video within itself. But it's clicking that it came from white folks. No shade. I feel like any sort of division within our community was given to us by white people because they know once we truly unite and put the bullshit aside, we can really make some shit shake. I feel like one day we may make some shit shake. I don't know. Maybe no shaking during my lifetime, but hopefully the shit is shaking when my kids are my age. or grandkids or great grandkids, hopefully. But I'm doing the right thing by making this video. Thank y'all for doing the right thing, for supporting me, checking me out. I love y'all deep. Mwah. Make sure y'all look in the mirror and tell yourselves, yeah, I am that. Whatever that is you want to be, whether that's the toaster, Honda Civic, gift bag, Gooby Gone, that bitch, that nigga, be that, because you already are. Till next time, y'all. Peace and blessings.
If I intimidate you, I don't know. I apologize.